What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTP Sports. Here to recap this four-game set. Well, basically the last three games of this four-game set from the Phillies and the Atlanta Braves. And the Phillies, they do end up taking 3 of 4 games from Atlanta. They do drop the series finale tonight with a chance to sweep all 4 games. They lose by a score of 3-1 after they walk it off in extra innings yesterday when honestly, they probably should have lost last night's game if it wasn't for Trey Turner's 2 RBI single with 2 outs in the bottom of the 10th inning. And then you have Friday's game where it was a 2-1 win, where basically the offense. So basically, it is the same exact summary that you can point out after the Phillies scored all those runs on Thursday. And I'm not taking anything away from Thursday's game, Kyle Schwarber's performance on Thursday. That game was fun just for that sole game, that sole purpose of just that specific day. It was very fun to watch. It was very entertaining. What Kyle Schwarber did was very fun and historic with the 4 home run game and all that stuff. But then you knew deep down the next 3 games offensively for the Phillies were going to be very quiet. They were going to basically do nothing. Basically do nothing whatsoever, and that's exactly what happened. And you also want to know what's the funny thing that I even said before coming into the series? I said I wouldn't be shocked if the New York Mets went into their 4-game series against the Miami Marlins and dropped 3 of 4. What happened? The Mets exactly did what I said. They dropped 3 of 4 to Miami Marlins because, once again, like I state, the New York Mets are not that good of a baseball team. So basically, at this point, you're back to square one with the division lead. Beside it being 7 games, you're at 6 games now, so you gain 2 games back, or 2 games ahead on the Mets. So you're back at square one. But that still doesn't make me feel good because every time you fucking see the Mets, in Citi Field specifically, you lay down and get spanked by them. It's not even funny. It's insane how bad that is. But then you see the Mets go up against any other goddamn team, especially in the National League East, and they look pitiful. They did not look good. Who was pitching for yesterday, I believe, for the Mets, where the Marlins, I think it was Peterson yesterday that pitched for the Mets. He didn't last 2 innings because he allowed 8 earned runs. And the Marlins almost fucking blew the game, but thankfully they ended up winning that. And then today, the Mets offense just wasn't good, and the Marlins won, I believe, that game by a score of 5-1. So, like I said, I wasn't shocked that the Mets were going to lose that series, and it turned out I was right, because that's what this Mets team is. And that's what makes it even more frustrating how badly embarrassed you got by them once again in Citi Field. And for that, also that sole purpose reason that I just don't feel anything after this series. And yes, winning 3 of 4, it's a good thing. It is a good thing. I'm not taking that away. I'm not taking away winning 3 of 4 in a 4-game series is a good thing. Hell, I say this all the time. When you go into a 4-game series, I can't demand sweep because regardless of a 4-game series of who you're facing, it's hard to sweep a 4-game series. But you had it. You had a chance tonight. You had a chance tonight with the way Jesus Luzardo pitched and your offense. Just, my God, I understand. Pitcher on the other side, once again, whoop-de-doo, the guy was nasty. And yes, he was nasty. But it's just like, that's the type of pitching you're going to see in the playoffs. That's the type of pitching you're going to see in the postseason. So, like, I can't. I just can't get myself all like with the excuses and all that stuff. I just can't. The offense the last 3 nights has been very bad, especially when they scored all those runs on Thursday. And it's this the generic Phillies thing like, oh my God, they wasted all the runs on Thursday. Now the offense can't do much the rest of the series because that's what happens. And that's exactly what happened. But I will give credit to the starting pitching. Ranger Suarez, it was definitely a little shaky. He did allow a lot of hits. The defense definitely helped him behind that. So there's that. They ended up winning that game by a score of 2-1, thanks to, I believe it was an Alec Bohm sacrifice fly in the bottom of the 8th inning. Then Duran got the save. And then for last night, you were losing in extras. Obviously, the ghost runner, Matt Strum, allows the ghost runner, and then Trey Turner with 2 outs in that bottom of the 10th inning gets that 2 RBI single to walk the game off. But then you got tonight. Jesus Luzardo looks very good. He was dominant tonight. He was very good, so good. 7 innings, no earned runs. 6 and 2/3 innings. He did allow a base runner. Robertson allowed a base runner after that, but he managed to get out of that unscathed. Kept the runs off the board for Jesus Luzardo's stat line. He was very good in that aspect, but then it just gets bad. Orion Kerkering. And there's a lot of Orion Kerkering elitists out there. there's a lot of Ryan Kerkering stands with Phillies Twitter and just Phillies social media in general. I see the potential with Ryan Kerkering. I understand that, but his numbers just don't tell the full story. They don't tell the full story whatsoever. This dude comes in, allows 2 walks and a base hit, which loads the bases, and then you got to bring in Tanner Banks. And it's hilarious that I'm saying this, that I trust Tanner Banks way more than I trust Ryan Kerkering, because what Tanner Banks showed, the dude has balls. The dude has absolute balls. Allows one of the inherited runners to score, which, granted, it is an impossible situation. He gets a ground out, strikes out Acuna looking, and then I believe it was another ground out to end the inning to only allow one of those runners to score. Compared to an Orion Kerkering, where he normally gets brought into situations with a lot of inherited runners, he lets a lot of those inherited runners to score. I think on the season he's allowed at least like almost half of his inherited runners to score. And it's definitely has not been a good stretch for Kerkering. I know his numbers are his numbers, and they look more good than they do bad. But it's just when I watch Orion Kerkering, I just like I I don't trust him. That's the thing with Kerkering. I don't trust him. And granted, yes, he's still young and all that stuff, and there's still a lot for him to grow in this league and all that stuff. So he's not even like fully fleshed out as a major league player. But it's just like when I watch, like I see when he is on his game, I see why people like are so obsessed with how good he can be. But it's when like he is so bad, he's walking guys, he can't hit the strike zone, he's allowing contact, he can't strike people out, he over relies on the sweeper, he can't locate the fastball. That's what bothers me. Then you allow the inherited runners to score, and some people try to take blame away from that from Kerkering, saying, oh, it's a hard situation when you have all those inherited runners. But yeah, when you're allowing near half of your inherited runners to score, there's a problem. There is an absolute problem. Um, and then Alvarado in the top of the ninth inning booted a ground ball back to him, which ended up biting him back in the ass because he does allow a 2-run shot to give the Braves the 3-1 lead. And you just know that, yeah, that was game because they were not coming back in the bottom of the ninth inning. That just wasn't going to happen. It just was not going to happen. So, yes, they took 3 of 4 in the series. I'm not taking anything away from that. Taking 3 of 4 is a good thing, but I just don't feel anything after it. I just don't feel anything after it. You're going into a series against a Milwaukee Brewers team that is very good. The pitching matchups definitely do not favor you, because you got Taijuan Walker tomorrow. And granted, tomorrow is probably a scheduled loss because it is a Sunday night game going into an afternoon game tomorrow on Labor Day and the weird Tuesday off day before Wednesday and Thursday's game. So I have the weird feeling, not even a weird feeling, I just have the feeling they're going to lose tomorrow. I feel like they're also facing Mizorowski on the mound or something like that. So granted, every time the Phillies go up against a young stud type of pitcher, they tend to not do good. So that's also in the factor as well, the equation. The offense just wasn't good these last 3 games. They just weren't. Really carried by the starting pitching. Really carried. Christopher Sanchez was very good yesterday. Ranger Suarez was shaky. Defense helped him a lot, but he still managed to keep you involved in the game. So he did his job from that aspect. So there's that. Then there's also what happened before today's game. Phillies signed Walker Buehler before the rosters expand. And also, it's because if you sign Walker Buehler before September 1st, he'll be eligible for the playoff roster, blah, 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 blah. Walker Buehler stinks. Walker Buehler stinks. Is he going to be better than Romano or Joe Ross? I have no fucking clue. His numbers with Boston this year have been terrible. The reason why he was DFA'd. Do you want to take a crack on the potential because he has the experience and all blah, 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 and all that stuff? I guess. It sounds like they're going to do a 6-man rotation when he is eligible to come back up to the major league roster. From the way it looks. I mean, what else do you have left to lose, I guess? I think they're also talking about bringing up Garrett Stubbs. Garrett Stubbs is going to come back up to the major league roster. When the rosters do expand tomorrow, I believe they're calling somebody else up. I forget who it was, but it really wasn't anybody notable. I think it was just another relief arm or something like that. So, really nobody notable that they're calling up for the roster expansion. a lot of people were like, "Oh, where's J.P. Crawford and all that stuff?" And, Andrew Painter was never getting called up. That was never happening, and J.P. Crawford was never getting called up. That just was never going to be the case. I got that incense from when Dave Dombrowski spoke after the trade deadline, when he talked about J.P. Crawford and when he needs it's like when you call up a J.P. Crawford, he needs to play every day, and obviously with the way that they're doing the outfield, he's not going to play every day. So that just gave me the inkling he was never getting called up. He was never getting called up. That's just what I saw. So, and obviously he's not getting called up with the roster expansion for September. So that's, was obvious in that point. With Bueller, what else? Whatever, man. It's just, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. So let's go over these last 3 games because we did talk after Thursday's game. So Friday they win by a score of 2-1. Ranger Suarez, he only went 5 innings in that game. He threw a lot of pitches, allowed a lot of contact. 10 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts. It was very shaky Ranger Suarez performance. David Robertson had a scoreless 6th inning. Matt Strahm had a scoreless 7th inning after allowing a couple of base runners. Or Kerkering had a scoreless 8th inning. And then Duran got the save on 12 pitches. Just going throughout the process of the game. Just like I said, a lot of contact allowed by Ranger Suarez. 2 base runners in the top of the 1st inning. He allowed bases loaded, got out of that. Braves scored the 1st run of the game in the top of the 2nd inning after a Profar RBI single with 2 outs. Still a lot of base runners for the Braves. Ranger finding ways to get out of that with some defense helping him as well. Phillies end up tying the game in the bottom of the 4th inning. Schwarber with a walk. Harper with a bunt single. Marsh with an RBI single to tie the game up. Bottom of the 5th. Some base runners on, but nothing happened there. Bottom of the, they could not touch Bryce Elder. They could not touch Bryce Elder, who sucks. They just could not. Top of the 7th inning, there was a couple of base runners for Matt Strahm. He got out of that. Bottom of the 7th inning, the Phillies went down 1-2-3. Bottom of the 8th inning. Schwarber with a single. Harper with a single. Then Johnson came up, so Schwarber went to 3rd on the Harper single. Then Alec Boehm had a sacrifice fly to deep right field. Keeping up the score, Schwarber became a 2-1 game. Marsh then singled, so you still have 2 base runners on. And Castellanos also walked to load the bases with 2 outs, which brought up Max Kepler. He popped up in a 3-1 count. And I'm not sure, that pitch was in the strike zone. But 2-1 going into the top of the 9th inning. Duran comes up, and he strikes out 2 batters. 1-2-3, quick inning. Duran looked good, and you win that game on Friday. Offensively, you only had 6 hits to the Braves' 12. Turner, he went 0 for 4. Schwarber, he went 1 for 3 with 2 runs and a walk. Bryce Harper, 2 for 4. Alec Boehm over 3 with a sac fly with an RBI there. Brandon Marsh, he went 2 for 3 with an RBI and a walk. Castellanos, he went 0 for 3 with a walk. Kepler, he went 0 for 4. Stott 1 for 3, and then Marchand 0 for 3. Phillies went 1 for 6 with runners in scoring position. Then you go into yesterday's ball game where the Phillies walked it off in the bottom of the 10th inning. So just looking at everything here, Christopher Sanchez was very good in last night's game. He went 7 innings, only allowed 7 hits, 1 earned run, no walks, and 8 strikeouts. Very good there on Christopher Sanchez. He threw 71 strikes, which basically showcased how dominant he was. The Phillies went 2 for 13 with runners in scoring position now. They had a lot of base runners in this game, a lot of walks. A lot of walks in this game. Well, just base runners in general. And they just couldn't get the hits there. Bottom of the 1st inning, Trey Turner walks, steals 2nd base, stole 3rd base, did not end up scoring. Those 3 batters struck out against Chris Sale. Bottom of the 2nd inning, they went down 1-2-3. Bottom of the 3rd, Weston Wilson hit a solo shot to put the Phillies up 1-0. Bottom of the 4th, Chris Sale struck out the side. Bottom of the 5th, Phillies went down 1-2-3. Top of the 6th, Profar with a leadoff double. Well, Profar and Matt Olson with leadoff doubles to tie the game up at 1. Christopher Sanchez ended up getting out of that, limited the damage. Bottom of the 6th, Trey Turner doubles to lead off the inning. Schwarber then grounds out, which moves Turner over the 3rd, and then Harper hits into a double play, which was a chopper back to Matt Olson at first base. He tagged first base, and for some reason, Trey Turner was going on contact, which he got thrown out at home. So there goes away a run. Sanchez in the 7th gets a 1-2-3. Bottom of the 7th for the Phillies, they go down 1-2-3 as well. Tanner Banks allowed a 2-out single, but still got out of the inning. Bottom of the 8th, Phillies have some base runners on. Stott walked. And Marsh singled, so he had 2 runners on. Trey Turner was not a good at bat. He struck out on a curveball that hung over the middle of the plate. Then Schwarber ended up lining out right to Ronald Acuna with 2 base runners on. Top of the 9th inning, they brought out Duran again. He got a 1-2-3 inning to force it to extras, basically, or to force it to the bottom of the 9th tied, and at least get the extras. Phillies went down 1-2-3 in the bottom of the 9th against the Iglesias. And then top of the 9th inning, Matt Strom out there with the ghost runner, gets the first out with Harris. But then Alvarez with a single that gave the Braves a 2-1 lead. Then Strom got the next 2 outs. Then you go bottom 10. Castellanos leads off with a hit by pitch. Also, you have the ghost runner as well, obviously. So Castellanos gets hit by the pitch. Bader then strikes out. Stott ends up singling to load the bases, of course, because you have the 2 slowest base runners on the base paths with Alec Bohm and Nick Castellanos. Bohm is the ghost runner, by the way, which is very stupid. I don't know why you don't have a pinch runner for Alec Bohm in that situation, but it is what it is. Then they go to the bullpen once again to bring in for Brandon Marsh. He strikes out. Then in Trey Turner's at bat, he was down 0-2 in the count. And, okay, I'll give him credit. He found a way to put the ball in play. He got a single the other way, and he won the Phillies the game. It was also thanks to a very terrible throw by Ronald Acuna that Nick Castellanos was even able to be safe. And there's also one thing by Castellanos, and I think one of these games, too, he got replaced defensively. I think it was it could have been in Friday's game, because Friday Castellanos also did have a good throw from right field to get a runner out at home plate, and then eventually, I believe it was in the top of the 9th, he got replaced defensively, which was the right fucking decision, because Castellanos, as when he makes those plays, throws out at home plate or whatever it is, he's still a terrible defender, and it was the right decision to take him out for defensive purposes. And then, of course, Castellanos, in his fucking emotions, you could tell he's working on his fucking sleeve, acting like a baby in the press conferences, only giving one-word answers and all that crap. Then you see after the walk-off, he's showing no emotion whatsoever. People were trying to play it off as, oh, he's probably still feeling it from the hand, so didn't really get too excited and all that stuff. No, Nick Castellanos is a baby. Nick Castellanos, he moans, he whines, and all that stuff. It's crazy. It's crazy. That's what he does, and that also annoyed me. That also annoyed me. But good for Trey Turner. He was basically one of the few Phillies that showed up in yesterday's ball game. He went 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs, obviously with the walk-off single. Harper, Schwarber, and JT Realmuto all went 0 for 4, and with a combined 6 strikeouts. Alec Bohm went 0 for 4 as well. He had 3 strikeouts too. Nick Castellanos, he went 0 for 3 with the hit by pitch. Bader went 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. Edmundo Sosa, he went 0 for 2. Then Stott came into the ball game, went 1 for 1. Wilson went 1 for 2 with the solo shot. And Brandon Marsh went 1 for 2. Phillies went 2 for 13 with runners in scoring position. Bryce Harper was 0 for 3 in those scenarios. JT went 0 for 1. Turner had the 1 hit with the walk-off. Schwarber was 0 for 4 with runners in scoring position. So there you go, the meteor order not coming up. And Stott had the other hit, which was an extra innings. So both of your hits were in extra innings. So go figure. Banks was good out of the bullpen. Duran was good out of the bullpen with 2 strikeouts. Strom allowed the ghost runner to score, but besides that, he was fine. Yeah, once again, your offense was not good, only 6 hits. But you do get them to get in the win, blah, blah, blah. Then you go to today's ball game. You lose by a score of 3-1. Offensively, was not good once again. Only had 5 hits against Waldrop, who you did make throw a lot of pitches. He only went 5 2/3 in this game, but he struck out 9. He walked 4 batters. So there's the difference. Jesus Luzardo was very good on the other hand. I'm not saying Waldrop wasn't good, but still, when a guy walks 4 batters, you got to cash in. Luzardo was very good. 6 2/3, 2 hits allowed, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts on 104 pitches. He threw 71 strikes. Very good stuff from Jesus Luzardo. But the guy, you only had 5 hits in this ball game. Trey Turner had a hit. Kyle Schwarber had a hit. Brandon Marsh had a solo shot. Bader had a hit, and Stott had a hit. Castellanos surprisingly walked twice in this game. He went 0 for 2 with 2 walks. He went 1 for 6 with runners in scoring position. Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber obviously having the biggest at-bats in this game with bases loaded, and both of those guys do not come up whatsoever. So let's go into this game. Bottom of the first, you went down 1-2-3. Bottom of the third, that's when you get the bases loaded chance. Castellanos with a walk. Bader reaches it on an infield single. Stott ends up striking out. Trey Turner with a single that once again does not score Castellanos because he's slow as molasses. Any other base runner, well, not Bohm. Any other base runner besides Bowman Castellanos scores on that single by Trey Turner, which would have made it 1-0 Phillies, but no, it loads the bases up for Kyle Schwarber. He strikes out looking on a pitch that was down the middle of the plate, a little bit inside, but still in a good spot for Kyle Schwarber. He gets frozen, strikes out. So then you get Bryce Harper, goes down 0-2, all splitters, then grounds up the middle into a fielder's choice to end the inning. No runs scored there. Jesus Luzardo responds with a 1-2-3 inning. Bottom four, Brandon Marsh with a solo shot on the second pitch of the at-bat. Puts the Phillies up 1-0. Bottom five, Phillies had a couple of base runners. Stott singled, Turner grounded into a fielder's choice. Harper got intentionally walked because he went up 3-0 in the count, and nothing happened. Bottom six, Bohm with a walk. Nothing happened. Top seven, Luzardo out there, allowed a base runner with 2 outs, went to David Robertson, he allowed a single, but then he got out of the inning. Bottom seven, nothing. Well, Schwarber actually ended up tripling, which is very funny. I don't remember seeing this. I don't remember Schwarber tripling. I think that was the point of the game where I was not watching, probably, because today I was at family's house in Jersey, so I was there all day. Obviously, it's Labor Day weekend, enjoying the holiday and all that stuff with family. Nice day. Enjoyed the pool. They also have a farm, so you see all the animals that they have there. Really fun stuff, really fun times and all that. And they were also trying to break balls and all that stuff with the podcast and all that stuff. I'm sure Uncle Richard, Aunt Marley, I'm sure you guys are watching and all that stuff. Denise and Natalie at the same time. So, and definitely, they knew I was watching the game when we were there, basically out back. So I don't remember Schwarber tripling. I really do not remember Schwarber tripling. That's actually pretty funny. But I guess Harper didn't do anything because he lined out. Then you go top of the 8th inning. This is when Kirkering's out there on the mound. Bruhan with an infield single. Baldwin walks. Profar walks on 4 pitches. Did he walk these guys on back? Nope. The Baldwin at bat was a 3-2 count with 8 pitches, and then Profar was just on 4 pitches. Olsen, when Banks comes into the game, grounds into a fielder's choice. It was Chopper, the second base, which scored the runner, so they went the first for the automatic out. Then Banks gets Acuna to strike out looking, a nasty pitch in the top part of the strike zone. Then they intentionally walked Ozzy Albies, which probably was the right thing to face Michael Harris. Lefty-lefty battle. I know Harris, I think, had 2 hits in the game at this point against Luzardo, but you always take the lefty-lefty matchup. He gets fielder's choice. Ends the inning. Only allowing the 1 inherited runner to score. Good on Banks. Bottom of the 8th, Phillies went down 1-2-3. Then you go top of the 9th. Fraley reaches in on an infield single, which should have been made by Jose Alvarado. Botched it with his glove, and Trey Turner couldn't get the out because Fraley was running down the base paths. Then there was a sacrifice bunt. Moved the runner over the second base. Then Alvarado with a nasty pitch sequence, actually. 3 straight cutters struck out Bruhan. But then against Baldwin on the first pitch, a fastball down the middle of the plate takes it the opposite way. And it carries over the fence for a 2-run shot to put the Braves up 3-1. And you knew the game was over from there. Castellanos against Iglesias strikes out. Bader flies out. And then Bryson Stott strikes out in that inning as well. So, yeah, very feeble end to that game. Once again, only had 5 hits. Trey Turner 1 for 4. Kyle Schwarber 1 for 3 with 3 strikeouts. Bryce Harper 0 for 3 with a walk. He also wore the rivalry pack again today. So that's 0 for 2 in games where Bryce Harper wears the stupid rivalry pack gear. Wore all yellow in his cleats and his pads and all that stuff. Very stupid stuff. I don't like it. I don't like it. It makes you look like a fucking douche. It just does. JT Realmuto 0 for 4. Alec Bohm 0 for 3 with a walk. Brandon Marsh 1 for 4 with a solo shot. Castellanos 0 for 2 with 2 walks, shockingly. Bader with a single. Stott with a single. 1 for 6 with runners in scoring position. Harper went 0 for 2 in those situations. Your only hit was Trey Turner, and that was the hit that did not score Castellanos because he's slow as molasses. So, yeah. Fun times, boys. Fun times. Fun times. Obviously, I think Matt Strom and Duran were not available. So that's why you had to go to Alvarado in that inning, because you used Duran 2 days in a row, and I'm assuming you used Strom 2 days in a row. So it makes sense. Just Kirkering was terrible. It just doesn't make sense how bad he was. It's crazy. And then Alvarado, the botched grounder I knew was going to come back to bite him in the ass. I just knew it. I just knew it. I was lefty. A lefty home run opposite field too. That's what you're going to allow, especially after you made the previous hitter look like a fool with 3 cutters. It just doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. But this team doesn't make sense. Yes, they won the series. Yes, they won the series. They did win the series. I'm not taking anything away from them. I just don't feel good after it. I just don't. If you want to call me a loser for thinking like that, go ahead. I just don't feel good after this series because the offense was just that bad in the last 3 games. It just was. Not taking anything away from the starting, well, maybe from Ranger. Rangers start with shaky. Not taking anything away from the bullpen. Not from this game specifically, but from the past 2 games. Not taking anything away from Luzardo. Not taking anything away from Christopher Sanchez. Those guys were good. Those guys were very good, actually. Offense, though. Not good. Not good. No bueno. So tomorrow, which I'm assuming is a scheduled loss because it's a 7 o'clock Sunday night game going into a 4 o'clock Monday afternoon game, which technically you're changing time zones, which is 3 o'clock in Milwaukee, which is Taijuan Walker against Jacob Mizorowski, who is 4-2 with a 4.33 ERA. Granted, he has not been good in his past so many starts. 5 innings against Arizona, he allowed 3 earned runs. He did strike out 10 now. Then 4 innings against Chicago, only allowed 3 earned runs. 1 1/3 inning against the Reds, allowed 5 earned runs. So he doesn't go deep in the ball games. Granted, he is very young. He's only 23 years old. He's going to strike out people, though. That's what it's definitely going to do. So there's that. Then Aaron Nola on Wednesday against Jose Quintana. The Phillies always struggle against Jose Quintana, and I don't know what to expect from Aaron Nola. And then on Thursday afternoon, it's Ranger Suarez against Freddie Peralta, who has been very good, I believe, in the month of August. Yes, very good. He has a .32 ERA in the month of August. He's allowed 1 earned run in the month of August. God damn. He has been very good this month. So yeah, not expecting much. I'd be shocked if you won 1 game in this series. I'd be shocked if you won a single game in this series. Shocked. Shocked if you won a game. If you want to call me a loser for thinking like that too, go ahead. I'm just not confident, boys. That Mets series really broke me. And who could blame me? Now, the Mets, they're also playing the Detroit Tigers this week. So, granted, I don't know what to expect from that. They just dropped 3 of 4 to the Marlins, so they can easily lose that series to Detroit. So, in the end of the day, they're probably still helping you out there. Like I said, I'm not expecting much from this Milwaukee series, unless the offense somehow miraculously shows up. Against the Milwaukee pitching, which I'm not expecting it to. Then after Milwaukee, you play 3 games in Miami, and then it's that 4-game series at Citizens Bank Park against the Mets, where it would be the final time you play them. And you will have your 3 best pitchers on the mound once again, even though that's not guaranteed because your 3 best pitchers struggled. Well, 2 best pitchers struggled against the Mets, being Luzardo and Sanchez. That series lined up, it looks like, from the way ESPN is doing it. Nola is in the first game against Sean Manaea. Then Tuesday, it's Ranger Suarez against McLean again. Then Christopher Sanchez against Clay Holmes. And Jesus Luzardo against Tong, the kid they just called up from AAA, who had a very good start in his first outing. He went 5 innings, only allowed 1 earned run against Miami. So, go figure. We'll see how that goes. Then after the Mets, they play KC, Dodgers, Arizona, Miami, Minnesota to close out the year. The one thing I'll throw to you, Julian, surprisingly, this Phillies team plays the Dodgers well. That is the only thing I'll give them credit for. They play the Dodgers well. I feel like they usually win series against the Dodgers with the past few years. They won the series earlier in the year. They won that series, and I believe they won both series against LA last year. Granted, LA in the beginning of the year wasn't healthy, and then was it September when Schwarber had that series where he hit 3 home runs or something like that in a game? It was like August or September or something like that, but they still won the series against LA last year. I feel like they have been winning, playing LA good. That's the only thing I'll give them credit for. So I wouldn't say that's an automatic series loss against the Dodgers. And granted, the Dodgers have not been playing well for a little bit either, so that's not guaranteed. Diamondbacks, they did win a series against Arizona, but they also don't play well in Arizona in general. That's also one of their houses of horrors in over the past few years. Yeah, now that Julian I could get behind. that I can get behind. You sweep the Dodgers, then you get swept by the Arizona Diamondbacks because that's pure Phillies. That would be pure Phillies. That I can get behind because that's probably what would happen. Yeah. Now we're into the backstretch of the season. Even though we were already in the backstretch of the season, we're in the true backstretch of the season. Now we're in September. We're yeah, you're 6 games now ahead of the Mets in the National League East after this weekend because the Mets also helped you out by losing a series to the Marlins because, of course, it's the New York Mets. What go figure. In essence, like, am I still concerned about the NL East? Probably not, because the Mets will probably hand deliver you that in general because of the way they play against other teams. They're just not that good against other competition. What's their record against the NL East either? I want to see this actually. They're 23-19 against the East, figuring they also swept the Phillies twice in Citi Field. So that's 6 wins on their book. So 23 minus 6, that's 17. So 6 of their wins are because they swept the Phillies in Citi Field this year twice. So if you don't factor, their series against the Phillies, where they won 1 in Citizens Bank Park, they're below 500 against the NL East if you don't factor the Phillies in there. So realistically, they're only above 500 because of the Phillies, if you look at their record like that. Against the Central, they're 12-13. They actually play the NL West pretty good, 17-11. Same thing with the Phillies, 17-9. They're 21-21 in interleague play. Yeah. So that's just interesting right there. What else? What else do I have here? No. I don't think I have anything else. Let's see, is there anything expanded here that makes me just a little bit intrigued? Anything that's intriguing about certain things? Because ESPN has these expanded records. So obviously they have the divisional record. They have the expanded stuff which shows day and night records, 1-run game end record, extra inning record, expected win loss and all that stuff to this point. The Phillies are 26-24 in day games. They're 53-34 in night games. They're 22-18 in 1-run affairs, and they're 7-5 in extra innings. Their expected win loss right now is 80-70-57. So they should have 1 more win according to ESPN's expected win loss. I wonder where that expected win was from. Why do I think that's the win that they probably should have had in San Francisco if Romano didn't allow the walk-off inside the park home run? Probably is the case there. The Mets, they're exactly 500 in day games, 26-26. They're 47-38 in night games. They're 22-22 in 1-run games. They're 5-6 in extras. Their expected record should be 76-61. So their records really should be better than what it is right now. But it's also the Mets. They have been playing very bad baseball for a while now, except for the Phillies. Except when it's against the Phillies. What else is there? The Brewers. 36-25 in day game. The Brewers have just been very good this year. What's their record at home? I know they have a very good home record too. They're 45-24 at home. They've just been very good this year. They have been losing a lot more frequently, so maybe you're catching them at the right time. But still, nothing's guaranteed. They did win a series against the Blue Jays though. They did win that series, but that's also following splitting a 4-game set with the Diamondbacks, losing a series to San Francisco, losing 2 of 5, or losing 3 of 5 against the Cubs in a series after that long winning stretch. Maybe you're catching them at the right time. I'm not entirely sure. so I can't guarantee shit. Their offense is scoring, so we'll see. Yeah, the Brewers did lose their closer. I did see that. Was it Miguel? They lost him to like the 10 or 15-day IL or something like that. So they did lose their closer. So that makes their bullpen in by proxy weaker in that aspect, but it's still the Brewers. They normally have good pitching. What else is there? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I got nothing else for you. I got nothing else for you guys. Well, the problem with that R Seeker is you have a 3-batter minimum. You can't pull him after 1 walk. He has to face 3 hitters. So technically, Rob pulled him the first chance he got because he has to face 3 batters. So that's the one downside of that is a 3-batter minimum. But it was smart on Rob to have a bullpen arm up immediately because he probably after the first batter's like, oh, hit the bullpen up. So Rob was quick with the decision making there, which people do criticize him for. So give Rob credit for that he had the quick trigger on Kerkering to bring in Banks, which turned out to be a really good decision. Alvarado, I mean, you had to use him because Duran and Strom weren't available, and Kerkering just shat his pants. You weren't going to make Banks pitch 2 innings in a row, or 2 innings after you're most likely going to need to use him tomorrow, unless he's not going to be available for tomorrow. Did Banks pitch 2 games in a row? He might have. He might have pitched 2 games in a row. He pitched tonight, obviously. Did he pitch last night? Did he pitch last night? He did. He did. He pitched right after Sanchez. So most likely Banks will not be available unless he's one of the very few that Rob's comfortable on using 3 days in a row. Because the only guy that Rob uses 3 days in a row that I've seen is Matt Strom. Don't see him using any other guy 3 days in a row. I haven't. I just haven't. That's just Rob's philosophy. So, yeah, I don't expect Tanner Banks to be available, but Strom would be available. Duran would be available. I'm assuming Kerkering will not be available after tonight. I'm just not entirely sure. But Alvarado, maybe. Nah. No. Not. Oh God. Oh joy. Oh gee. Oh gee Willikers. No. No. Yeah. We will have a recap tomorrow. I'm just not sure when it's going to be because I'm going to my cousin's house for a barbecue on Labor Day, obviously. So I don't know what time I would be getting back in order to do the recap. Granted, the game's at 4 o'clock, so you'd figure the game ends at like what, around 7 or something like that. Probably won't be home by then. Probably will be home a little bit later. Not sure. But we will have a recap tomorrow. Tuesday's obviously the weird off day in between. And granted, it's also Eagles week. Also, first week of the NFL season upcoming. Thursday, the first game against Dallas. After Dallas traded Micah Parsons, which is still very hilarious to this day. But yeah, it's definitely going to be a weird week. Because I feel like people will now be more focused on Eagles instead of the Phillies. Maybe that's the case. Now, obviously, I feel like people will be more locked into the Milwaukee series. Granted, the Phillies do play on Thursday afternoon before the Eagles game. It's also at 4 o'clock before the Eagles play at like 8:30 or something like that. So you'll be able to get a double dip of Phillies then directly after Eagles. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. What can I guarantee from this series against the Phillies in Milwaukee? I'd be shocked if they get a win. Just being honest. With the way Milwaukee played them earlier in the year, I'd be shocked if they get a win. And with the way the offense is swinging it, but granted, then you could say the offense is randomly due to go off for a series. Because that's just what they are. You just can't predict the offense. You don't know what you're getting on a daily basis. It's just what it is. So they can either go off against Milwaukee, or it's just more of the same from this series, the last 3 games, and what they did in New York. And Thursday right now was the outlier, because Bumblefuck was on the mound. I forget his name. Cal Quantrill. That's what his name is. It's so irrelevant that I forgot. Man, this team just does things to your brain to where it makes your head hurt. You don't understand things. You just don't enjoy it. It's just you just don't enjoy it. And I hate feeling like that. I really do. I feel like I sound like a miserable prick, but I feel like it's warranted. It's just how I feel watching this team. It's how I feel. And right now, nothing they do can make me feel better. Unless they win a series against Milwaukee, I feel slightly better. But I'm not saying they're going to, because I don't think they're going to. I'm saying I'd be shocked if they won a game. I'd be very shocked if they won a game in Milwaukee, because I just don't trust this team. As I got nothing else for you. I got nothing else for you. I think I'm also just very tired from today. Swam in the pool for a little bit at my uncle's house, so that also helps there. Ate some good food. I have brownies next to me. So I'm gonna munch on those when this stream is over in a few seconds. So yeah. Then I have the barbecue tomorrow. Gonna eat some more good food. And move on. Move on to Eagles week. The Eagles recaps will be coming back. So that'll be interesting. Do I do a watch party for the Eagles game on Thursday? Not entirely sure. Not entirely sure. Should be interesting though. Do I do 2 recaps in one night? That would also be weird. That would also be weird. It's definitely, like I said, it's going to be a weird week. Tomorrow's obviously the holiday. Got the weird off day on Tuesday with the Phillies. Then it's just all week Phillies. It's going to be a weird month because obviously with the Eagles coming back now you got to balance Eagles and Phillies together. Then at the end of the month, I'm going on vacation for a week, so I won't be here. I believe that lines up with the final week of the Phillies season when they play those games against Miami and Minnesota right before the playoffs, and I would be home that final day they play Minnesota on that Sunday. So, gonna have to figure out what I'm doing for that week, just content-wise, so I can just have stuff out for you guys that week instead of it just going ghosting that entire week. So, like I said, it's gonna be a very weird week, very weird. So, play it by ear. We'll not play it by ear. Obviously, there'll be recaps after these Phillies games, after Eagles, and all that stuff. Brain's a little all over the place tonight. Definitely is. No, I'm not drunk. I'm definitely not. My brain, I'm just tired. Just very tired. So, that's the thing. Where am I going? Going to Florida. Going to Orlando. For Universal and Disney, all that stuff. For all the Halloween stuff that they do. So we're going down there for a week. We're actually driving down there. So that'll be the first experience. Unless the airfare gets cheaper. Then they'll probably decide last minute, nope, we're flying because the airfare got so cheap. So it's definitely something that they'll probably decide last minute. I'm excited about the drive down because I would like to experience Buc-ee's down there. But it's up to them at the end of the day, the family at the end of the day. Ain't my choice. I ain't paying for it. Yeah, that should be fun. Definitely would be a nice mental break from Philadelphia sports that week, even though the day before I leave will be Eagles and all that stuff. So I want to see what's the Eagles schedule in that time frame. I think they play a bunch of 1:00 games in that time frame. That's like during the stretch where they play a bunch of 1:00 games, if I'm not mistaken. So let me look at the Eagles schedule. What's that stretch during that time? So obviously they start on Thursday with Dallas. They play on the 14th, which is a 4:25 game against Kansas City. Then the day before I leave is the 21st. I leave on the 22nd. That game is against the Rams at 1:00. Okay, so they play a 1:00 game. And then the day I come back, which is the 28th, is a 1:00 game. Okay, so they play a bunch of 1:00 games there. They actually play 1 o'clock. They actually play a lot of 1 o'clock games from September to October, which actually works out pretty well. So they got the 8:20 game, 4:25, 1 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 1 o'clock. Then they have a Thursday night game, which is obviously 8:15. Then 1 o'clock, 1 o'clock. Wow, they get the Giants out of the way early. That's crazy. Then they have their bye week, week 9. Then they play Monday Night Football in Green Bay. Then they have Sunday Night Football against Detroit. Then they play the 23rd against Dallas. Then they play Black Friday at 3 o'clock against Chicago. Then they have another Monday Night Football game against the Chargers of all teams. That's a weird Monday night game. Then they play a 1 o'clock game at home against the Raiders. Then they play Washington, which is to be determined. Then they play Buffalo on the 28th at 4:25. And then they have a flex game possibly against what? They played 2 of their last 3 games against the Commanders, which granted, the division could already be wrapped up by then. I don't think Washington's going to be that good this year. I just have that weird feeling. The Giants aren't going to be good. Dallas is not going to be good. The Commanders will be good by proxy, but I still don't think they will be as good. So the Eagles would be their division. Jose, what's your September record prediction? Let's see. So they play, 4 games in September? They play Dallas, Kansas City, LA, and Tampa. Huh. I'll say I think they win, obviously, against Dallas. I think they lose that game in Kansas City. I just have a feeling. I think they lose that game in Kansas City. Maybe they don't. Maybe they will. I just think they lose that game. I think they beat the Rams. And I think they finally get over their demons against Tampa Bay. I'll say 3-1. They beat Dallas, they beat the Rams, and they beat Tampa, and they lose to Kansas City on the road. I think that's pretty respectable. I could see 3-1 or 2-2. I could see either of those records. I don't think they'll go 1-3. Obviously, I don't see that happening. Oh, September record for the Phillies? That's more complicated. September record. Let me look at the series they'll play. So obviously they play Milwaukee. I think they lose this series against Milwaukee. I think they'll be lucky to win a game. Do they win this series against Miami? Possibly. I could see them winning 2 or 3. Against the Mets. Why do I have a feeling they split that series? I just have that weird feeling. Weird feeling they split that series against the Mets. Weird feeling. Kansas City, that'll be a tough series. What's Kansas City's record actually? Are they even in a playoff spot? Kansas City, they're 70 and 67. They were below 500 for a little bit. Are they in the wild card race? They're 3 games out of the wild card, so Kansas City is a team that is fighting. It would be a tough series. Realistically, you should win 2 of 3. Then it's the Dodgers. They typically play in Los Angeles against the Dodgers well. I'll say they win that series. Diamondbacks. I think they dropped that series in Arizona, but I can also see them winning it just because the Diamondbacks aren't as good this year. Miami, they should beat. Minnesota, they should beat. As frustrated with this team is, I'm giving them series wins. That's the crazy thing. I'm giving them series wins, but I'm so frustrated with them. Yes, I did see that the Mets would have to go at least 19 and 5 to win the division. That's not happening. They're not going 19 and 5 in September with their schedule, because they play Detroit next, right? They play Detroit next. Then they play Cincinnati, which they're fighting for with the wild card spot. So Cincinnati could really come out and play that series. They play the Phillies next. After that, obviously, they play Texas, who has the best starting pitching in baseball, the best pitching in baseball, which probably doesn't bode well for the Mets lineup. Then they play San Diego. That's a very tough stretch for them. Then their stretch does get easier with Washington, even though they struggle against I can't even say it's an easy stretch for the Mets because they lost a series to Washington and Miami. And they also play the Cubs in the middle in there, where the Cubs are still fighting for a playoff spot. So their schedule is not easy the rest of the way. I can't say any of those series for the Mets are easy. Now, granted, Philadelphia you would say, because the Mets play Philadelphia so well, you would say that's an easy series. Well, weird shit happens. I'm not even confident for that series. I'm not even doing it as a biased Phillies fan. Weird shit happens when the Phillies and Mets play each other. That's the thing. If they're playing in Citi Field, that is automatic advantage towards the Mets. Most likely at least 2 of 3 or a guaranteed sweep. When they're playing in Philadelphia, weirder shit happens. The Phillies tend to play the Mets better in Philadelphia, but that's still not good enough. So why do I feel like that series will be a 2-game split? 4-game split? I just have that weird feeling. That's, like I said, it's weird. It's just very weird. So that's what I'm expecting there. So the Mets would have to go 19-5 to win the division. That's not happening. So that's just simply not happening unless the Phillies really shit the bed, which is also very possible. But then the Mets would also have to win in turn with the Phillies shitting the bed, which I don't see happening. So that'll do it for tonight, everybody. I can see my computer Wi-Fi, stream Wi-Fi going really wonky right here, so I think it's a good time to end the stream. So appreciate you all tuning in as always. Don't forget to leave a thought and an opinion down in the comment section down below. Don't forget to drop a like. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It does me a great deal of service. Also use the code TTPSPORTS, $20 off your first purchase at SEATGEEK. Great deal. Don't pass it up. Appreciate y'all tuning in as always. Everybody in the chat. And I'll see you tomorrow. See you next time. Enjoy the rest of your holiday.